Good morning, everyone. It is William Mosley. That's Mosley, if you're curious. Today, we're talking about something that a lot of us seem to not have. We're also talking about something that I've covered a couple of times in the past, but I guess this will be an update on what I'm doing to create content in a busy world where no one has enough time, we're all stressed, we have so many different responsibilities. How do you find the time to work on yourself, and do stuff that makes you ultimately happy in today's world? We got construction here, so I'm going to stop for a second, so we'll see what this looks like. And the answer is not always easy, but I think it's necessary. What I found myself doing early on, and I don't think I did it as much as everyone else did, or a lot of people around me did, because I always felt honed in my of always being artistic and wanting to organize. Or did you guys know that I once upon a time wanted to be a organizational coach or whatever? That was back with the GTD, get things done, things going on. That I always kind of was honed in the, I guess, in putting my craft and putting my art first. That did get me in trouble. A lot of times, because that can easily transform into what's called a workaholic or whatever. Is times I'd in the past in past relationships I'd get home from work, and then of course I wanted to work on things that actually made me happy, and then not put in all the time with on the relationship or with the relationship, where I thought like, hey, I had a long day, you had a long day, I want to kind of do my own thing. Early on relationships, and it was always I feel like it was always a thing. um, I've never needed, I don't think I've ever needed a driving force to make me want to do, want to create, or in the early days I wanted to be like a really big, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was like the big thing to do. um, Still is. I wanted to, of course, work for myself like most people do, so I was willing to put in the time and the hours and stuff like that. And the sad part about all of that is a lot of the time and the hours that I put in, I mean, they weren't for naught. I learned a lot of good skills, but as far as like making money and income and all this other stuff, it was very, very, very sporadic. And I'm kind of like jumping off a cliff on like the actual topic here, so I want to kind of bring it back um, to kind of the focus. It's not about Will's sob story as a younger Will. It's about like, how can you honestly find time in your day to day that where everything just seems busy, or it seems like you have so many different responsibilities. So this is to probably 90-95% of us. um, Most of us have to work some sort of job, whether we love it, whether we hate it, and it's just part of, it's, if you hate your job, I feel like you should work towards like getting out of it. And there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of make all that stuff happen, but that's not what this is about either. But for the most part, most of us have a job that we just have to work and do that takes up 8 to 10 hours of our day, sometimes 12 if you work at the factory, which is crazy. If you work a 12-hour job that you don't like, I really suggest you actually get out of that quick, because 12 hours doesn't really leave you enough time to be and do things that for your passion. Now, We also, a lot of us have girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, and that requires, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. That requires, a lot of time and a lot of commitment. Um, you definitely should prioritize that, definitely make that a priority. So there's plenty of days, plenty of nights, plenty of every day that, we spend time with your significant other. And you got to work on building that. Some days are really good, some days are really bad. Oh man, sneezes, sneezes. And you don't always know. And the one thing that I've kind of learned from that, I'm going to continue to sneeze throughout this. This is just a sneeze podcast. One thing that I think I've learned from being with, Laura almost 8 years, and also being in previous relationships is trying to, like, there's certain things that may come up, and God, man, I gotta sneeze again. They're getting worse. There's certain things that may come up, and it's usually better to kind of nip those things in the bud when they start. Because, like, I've had plenty of times when Laura and I will get into an argument or something like that, and it's like right before I'm supposed to go hang out and do something fun, and then I come back and it's just way worse than what it would have been if I had kind of resolved it in the beginning, and that sucks. So you're gonna have that time. You're gonna have times where you're having fun watching Netflix. You're gonna have times when you're um, arguing, all that stuff. You're also gonna have times where a lot of us go to school. Whether you're super young and you go to school and you have to go to school all day versus going to work all day, or if you're in college and you have to work all day and then you also have to go to school for 4 to 6 hours. It's a lot. It's a lot. That was probably the worst that I was at. Like when I was working and then also trying to go to college and also trying to maintain a relationship all at the same time, in addition to wanting to actually do something I was passionate about. I think that was the lowest I think I was at. I mean, I've had it's draining because you're serving someone for 8 to 10 hours a day at work, doing things that you may or may not love. Most of the times when we're first starting out, it's things that we don't really love. It's things we're not passionate about. We a lot of times hate, but we need to pay the bills. And then for a vast majority of us, going to college seems like the great route, the great, yellow brick road to paradise, but we have to put in the work and the time of 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 years of giving up our time, giving up our money to this system that's promising us a good job at the very end. That's a long time to wait and a long time to be in that position. Uh, it's not a good fit. Um, and I'm pretty clear on my stance with college. I think, like, if college is working for you, then great. But if it's not working for you, I think you should just drop out. Like, it's not worth it. Period. I think that there's a community that you can, meet with in person and interact with. I think that's dope. I think that's cool. But Facebook also has groups and communities too that you can meet up with that cost you zero and that don't require you to take, calculus 2, which when you hate math or something. You of all the things that I've learned in middle school and high school. The only things that I think that I kept from high school and from like middle school are like general reading and writing skills. Those were good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Google, freaking the keyboards are ridiculous nowadays. I can kind of type what I'm thinking, or even say it, and it already knows what you know. I mean, it's already there. But I think there's definitely benefits in that. Art class was dope. I mean, it allowed me to express my creativity. Was it? I think it allowed me to understand that other people were artistic too, and that I could kind of share that with them. So that was cool. General math, I think up to maybe algebra one. I don't really think you need algebra two at all. I think like up to algebra one, because that's what I use that stuff in today's in today's math and stuff like that. And don't get it twisted. Like Google can give you the answer to for whatever your crazy ass math problem is now too. So I literally could like type that stuff in, but I do kind of think of things like that. So just a basic algebra. History, I like the stories, but you literally can watch YouTube and there's plenty of history. Like there's what you're trying to learn, what they're trying to teach you in history. Like I get why we have history. I think it's super important, and I think that we should all like learn it. But the fashion that history was presented to me, just I was never able to grasp onto any of the dates, any of the stuff. Um, I don't know. I think just like basic history, basic science, they're all good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really use like crazy science in today's like. And if I needed to know a science question, I just look it up, you know. And then kind of history, I love listening to like stuff about history. Naturally, it's cool. I'm actually listening to a podcast right now about like classical music and how this guy was doing it when it was World War II and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I mean, there's benefits in like all these basic kind of things, these basic classes, but at the same time, we all have lives too. You know, we all have to um, work and live. And it sucks because everyone just tells you to keep your head down and keep working and keep working and keep working and keep working. And eventually you'll be able to do what you love. And I think that's completely wrong. I think that you should do what you love right now, every day. And that itself will push you through all this other tough stuff that you have to go through. A lot of us have kids. I'm going to have 4 kids come September. So I got 3 boys right now. I'm going to have a 4th one if the podcast didn't know already. Um, and so kids over everything in life, at least for me, my kids are the most important thing that I think I've ever done with my life. Like I care that much. I love them that much. And then like my relationship and my passion come in, both come in second. Like so, it's important. And like the thing is, and this is turning into a huge ramble, and I apologize because I know I haven't really gotten to the point, but the point is you should be doing your passion every single day of your life, no matter what your circumstance is, what you're going through, and how to actually do that every day without losing your mind in this crazy busy world is there's a couple things that are simple, some practical things that you can do. Think of time that is just completely wasted on menial tasks that you have to do. Like right now, I'm driving to work. I have to do it. There's no way around it. But there's not. It's not like I'm doing anything within it. I use this time to podcast. I wasn't a podcaster. I didn't think podcasting was cool. I didn't like the idea of being on audio. But something crazy cool about podcasting, and I made a vlog, or I made a podcast about how to podcast on the last one, is it allows you to, one, talk almost to yourself and get thoughts out, which is really important. It also allows you to capture your creative process with other people. So if you're a painter, even though you're not painting at this moment, you can talk about your painting process and how you do it. And that's important. That's captured, and you can pass that along to people. And people will benefit from that. They'll love that. Now, as far as finding time to actually create something or do something along those lines, like, you know what I mean? Like if you're a painter, finding the time to paint. I do think there's a lot of things that we do in our lives that are just like us kind of like just doing it because we're on autopilot, and we're not willing to kind of sacrifice the time to put it in for our passion. Like basics, watching Netflix for a couple hours. Well, maybe once or twice a week, if we didn't, watch that hour of Netflix or whatever, we can probably create something from in that time. Or like things that you think you have to do, like maybe you clean up one less time a week. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that we're expected to do, and when you think and look at it, and you're like, do I really have to fucking do this? Fuck this. Like the only thing that you actually have to do in your, with your life is you have to somehow make a minimum amount of money to cover your rent. And sometimes that means like, let me just move in with my mom or my dad or whoever, a roommate, and you have to pay way less rent. It might not be the absolute best circumstance if you think about it. I'd fucking love just moving in with my mom. Like, that'd be dope. And then you automatically don't have to work as much, and therefore you have more time to kind of do what you need and want to do. Sometimes things aren't like that. Sometimes where you're at is either a good spot and you benefit from all of that stuff, and so it's not worth the move. Like right now, our rent's high. It's very high, but it's worth like what we're kind of getting in value from it. It's a nice place for our kids. The neighbors are pretty nice. The house is fairly well upkept or updated. There's a lot of good stuff in it that we're getting from it value wise, but it is a pretty penny. It's a higher price. There's the main thing that you want to do with every day is carving out some sort of time for you. Because if you don't, you're going to get resentful, you're going to get mad, you're going to get upset, and it's just going to be taken out on everyone else. You're going to feel like you're always doing everyone else's thing and never able to focus on you. And that's it, it's because it's the truth, because you're focusing on everybody else's stuff, and you're not your own person when you're not able to do stuff that you actually enjoy, that you actually want to do. So very basic advice and very long ramble or rant, but I do hope that you maybe took a little bit from this. The main thing that I have to do with myself when balancing is I actually have the habit of creating so much content, or being so hard on myself to create so much more just because I love creating, that I get upset with myself when I don't, create X amount when it's already way more than what anybody else would have probably done anyways. I have to be level with myself, and I talked about this a few podcasts back about like finding a system where I'm creating 2 really nice pieces of content per week, which turn into like 6 pieces by how I'm kind of like doing it. And that's what's been working. That's what I've been doing. Today I really need to finish up my under the hood of fatherhood. That's kind of been on my list for several days now, so it's coming up to on that kind of time point, that time crunch in my mind. But I haven't been pressured to kind of get it done every day, which is tough when life is life. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here. Remember, if you need a promotional film that's capturing like your creative process, I feel like so sniffly right now, so I have sniffles all through this. If you need a promotional film done on the weekend that captures your creative process, that gets nice, clean, beautiful shots of whatever your product is, gets you in the studio, all that stuff. If you need that, go to heywillmosley.com. Again, that's heywillmosley, mosley.com. And learn more. Got a lot of different videos, stuff like that, so you can learn even more information, and then you can also go ahead and get a quote. All right. Hope you have a great day. All right.